on the webinar. These are for, since I started recording, this webinar is on category management, utilization, and leakage. The definitions are for future reference, or as you review the PowerPoint, but to go through some now that are particularly important. Most of you, I bet, have heard the term BIC, best in class. It means something. Then it means an IDV, category management domain program, that has been designated by the Office of Management and Budget as a preferred government-wide solution. FSSI Wireless is a BIC, category management programs or domain. What's category management? The business practice of buying common goods and services as an enterprise to eliminate redundancies, increase efficiency, and deliver more value and savings from the government's acquisition programs. Domain and program, these are synonyms. I'm using them as synonyms for this webinar. So category management domain, a collection of IDVs, indefinite delivery vehicles, managed as a related unit and geared towards assisting in the fulfillment of an agency mission. NOAA's ProTech category domains as an example, and we're going to take a look at those today. We'll go through the rest of these as we go along, and I'll refer back to them. Incidentally, do we have any, before we get started here, if someone could raise their hand, do we have a category management program manager on with us today? Anybody whose job it is to be in charge of a category management program? Okay. Why category management? Why is this an issue? Well, from this OMB memorandum, if you in the PowerPoint, if it's underlined, that means it's hyperlinked. But if you look at that, OMB is requiring it. That would be to implement category management here. The Office of Management and Budget will require agencies to carry out a set of tailored management actions and provide updates on these management actions to evaluate their progress in bringing common spending under bracket category management. So there's one reason why it's important. It's required. And according to the same OMB memorandum, if you don't make effective use of category management, you're going to have excessive extra costs that you could otherwise have avoided. You'll be duplicating effort. If you're writing a definitive contract action when you could have just easily have issued a delivery order. And missed opportunities to adopt government and industry best practice. That's a little vague, but that comes out of this memo. Now, one thing too, on today, what I'm going to be focusing on is measurement of category management. How much spend went through category management programs and how much spend could have gone through those programs but didn't. So numbers-based is what we focus on at FedDataCheck and what I'm going to be talking about mostly. But it's important to remember that category management, there's a lot more to it than issuing BPA calls and delivery orders. Collecting customer feedback, if you have a program, see how well customers, that would be your COs and CSs, how well they like the program. Talk to the program office. Is this program meeting their needs? Measuring savings. So, and there's a link here to documentation, you can read about the wide range of activities involved in category management, other than the kind of the tail end where you're measuring how much spend went through the programs. All right, so I got a little question mark here. This now is bad. A competitively awarded definitive contract with a firm fixed, and you got an excellent price from the vendor. You awarded this definitive contract to a vendor with a track record of success with your agency, and the statement of objectives is highly tailored and appropriately so. That's bad. And that brings me to my first poll. Launch. How do you feel about category management is really what I'm asking. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here. We'll close that and we'll share the results. So virtually, the vast majority says this is a good idea. 95%. Some said not really. Let me make sure I'm showing my screen again. Does anyone want to raise their hand and make a comment on that as to why you think it's good, why you think it's not helpful? I've heard both stories from very senior level acquisition officials, and one in particular, we had a conversation where this is where I got that scenario. He says, well, I'm being punished if I write a great definitive contract, firm fixed price, everything in there is just how I want it. I got a great price with a great vendor, and now I'm being punished because definitive contracts, by definition, as we'll see, does not count towards category management spend. Didn't seem right to him. All right. Okay, what is category management utilization? So we're focusing on this term here, utilization. What does it mean when it said, we spent $40 million through NOAA's ProTech satellite domain. So what does that mean? A BPA call or delivery order used in IDV, right? So that's a BOA, BPA, IDC, GWAC, or FSS. Typically, it's FSSs, BPAs, or IDCs. I haven't seen any with, well, GWACs too, could be. I haven't seen any BOAs participate in this. But it's got to be a BPA call or delivery order, unless you had spend on the IDV, to count as category management spend. So, and of course, that IDV has to be designated as part of a category management domain, AKA program. The category management domain, set of related IDVs, that's what this is, can be established at the agency level. NOAA's ProTech Fisheries is an example. Can be established at the department level, Education's EdTAS, or at the federal-wide, government-wide level, GSA's FSSI wireless program. So it can be at the agency, department, or federal, that you can establish these collection of IDVs that you want your contracting officer specialists to use. A definitive contract or a purchase order, that's out. If you use one of those two, your category management spend is going to be zero as it relates to those awards. A BPA call may or may not involve category management utilization. So you have an award here. I just gave an example of one. You want to take a look at it. Okay, I have that open already. Okay. Let me get that one here. Okay. Well, I don't want to go out there and look at it, but that's a delivery order. And as we're going to see in, actually, when we take a look at the Department of State's spend in GSA Acquisition Gateway, that was classified as Tier 0. It did not count towards any category management spend, even though it was a delivery order. So to get utilization, again, to wrap up here, BPA call or delivery order, whatever the PID is, use IDV XYZ, then the spend on the call and delivery order gets added to the applicable category management domain spend, presuming this IDV is part of a program/domain. Let's look at some examples, maybe it'll be clear. So if we look at the agency level, NOAA's ProTech satellite program. It is a multiple award IDIQ, multiple award IDIQ contracts with 23 vendors. Each has their own IDV. All right, it goes IDV, IDC, IDIQ. That's the hierarchy. So the IDV in this case would be an IDC, and the type of IDCs in ProTech satellites are indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. So this is an example. If I can get that one. Go out to FPDS&G, look at this PID. So this is a delivery order, so it's a candidate for category management. It passes, it's not a DCA or purchase order, so it's in the running. So this spend here, this obligated amount, would get added to the spend associated with, what did we say this was? A ProTech satellite. Why? Because this IDV is an indefinite delivery vehicle of the type indefinite delivery contract. The IDC type is indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. There are three types of IDCs in FPDS&G. How do I know it's a part of the satellite program? I believe it says it. Well, we'll look at another one where it does have information in here as to what program it's a part of. One way I know that this is part of the satellite program is that NOAA told us it was, and they recorded it as such in FedDataCheck. This next one will be, it has the information in FPDS&G as well. Okay. Let's go through another example. So that's at the agency level. NOAA, which is a part of Commerce, has set up this category management domain for their COs and CSs use. Now here's one that's government-wide. It's a category management domain set up for all government COs and CSs. It's also classified as a BIC, best in class, which is your most super duper category management domain. It's a set of, it has both FSSs and BPAs in it, this domain. Here's an example here. So you can see this is kind of tell by the vendor that it's part of the FSSI. You can get an indication that it's part of the FSSI wireless. It's an order against an FSSI wireless IDV. Any action obligation against this would count towards category management spend. And let's look at the associated IDV, which is a Part 8 BPA, Part 8. And here you could, in the contract marketing data, you can tell what the domain it's a part of, FSSI wireless. Okay, so a delivery order we saw. This was a delivery order that counted towards category management spend towards an agency, category management program, AKA domain. Here's a Part 8 BPA call that got counted towards category management spend. Any questions so far? Let's see here. Keep an eye on my questions, chat, raise your hand if you have a comment. Maybe you're hearing something that you don't quite agree with. All right, I got another poll here I'd like to launch. I think we've already raised this before, but have you ever been involved in the management of a category management program, such as analyzing why an IDV was used, or why a set of IDVs were used or not used? I got some yeses. Okay. Share the results. So we have a few people out there who have done this professionally. It sure would be helpful if you raised your hand and added some clarification or elaboration if you see something on the slide, or share your experience with your colleagues. That would be great. But we'll keep moving on. So that's utilization. You know, it's fancy word perhaps for counting up the dollars that get spent through a category management domain. I'm going to use domain from now on. What is a domain? A collection of related IDVs that have been stamped as a category management program. ProTech Satellite has 23 vendors, 23 awards, IDVs. If you use one of those, the spend counts towards ProTech Satellite. Utilization. All right, what is leakage? Category management leakage. First of all, you got to pick your poison. You got to base leakage on either the NAICS code or the PSC code. We'll see why in a bit here. Hey, I got someone on here from Protec Oceans, an acting ACO of the weather domain. All right, Eric. Eric, I won't mention the last name. That's great. I'm glad you're on. FedDataCheck. So that's our product, Potomac Wave, used to assist agencies with their procurement metrics, among other things. We base leakage on either on the NAICS code. That's our preferred method, but not the full 6-digit NAICS code. We use the 4-digit NAICS Industry Group or the 5-digit industry designation, and we'll see what that is. If you look at the NAICS code, as some of you may or may not know, I got a link to here to what I'm looking at is the North American Industry System of Classification Manual put out by the Executive Office of the President. And if I go down to page 20 in the PDF, page 18 on the numbering scheme of the PDF, NAICS uses looking right, he's starting here. NAICS uses a 6-digit coding system. Everybody knows that. The first 2 digits of the code represent the sector. The 3rd digit designates the subsector. The 4th digit designates the industry group. The 5th digit designates the NAICS industry. And the 6th digit designates the national industry. So it's a hierarchy. Okay, so we're thinking about leakage now. An award is, so first, let's look at this. An award is made that does not use an IDV in a category management domain. So that's the first hurdle. If we went through utilization, which gets assigned to, let's put let's say that's good spend. You can put that in quotes. Let's say now we're looking at the ad spend. I'm using good or bad, obviously, for lack of better terms. But to look on the flip side of utilization, the first test is, okay, the award did not use an IDV in a category management domain, but it still has to pass a second test. The award's 4-digit NAICS code matches that of an IDV in the category management domain. So the point here is, let's say, to take an extreme example, let's say, and use another commerce agency, NIST. NIST had to buy a COVID-19 specialty instant test air dispersal mechanism. Okay, well, and they did it through a definitive contract. Okay, well, all right, obviously that's not going to be utilization because a definitive contract was used, and as we just saw, that can't possibly count towards category management spend. So in that case, this COVID-19 air dispersal analyzer passed this test here. But did it pass the second test, which is, it didn't use a category management domain, but there is no category management program for COVID-19 air dispenser analysis. So that would be a case where, it would neither be utilization nor leakage. Other possible methods, you could use the 5-digit, and we're going to look at some examples using this 4-digit analysis. You could use the full digit NAICS code. You could use the PSC code. There are other ways to manage leakage to assess what you're doing with leakage is you're saying this award didn't use a category management program, but based on the NAICS code, we believe it could have, potentially could have. You know, one of the things we do at FedDataCheck is we'll send out email alerts on leakage. And let's pull up that PDF. I have it here. And this will give you an example of what I mean by using the 4-digit industry group. Okay, so here's Protect Oceans. Yeah, we'll come down here. And as you can see, we've identified this award is leakage. I can go out and look at that. We said this award could have used NOAA's Protect Oceans Category Management Program, but it didn't. Therefore, it was leakage. Why was that? That's because the 4-digit NAICS Industry Group 5416 matched an IDV that is in Protect Oceans. Notice that this one ends in 11. The NAICS code there is Administrative Management and General Consulting Services. Here's another one that we said, can I open that? And now scroll down here to where I was. Still on Protect Oceans. Now let's take a look at this one. We also identified, in conjunction with NOAA, identified this award as leakage against Protect Oceans. Okay. It did not reference a category management IDV, one of those Protect IDVs that NOAA set up. And the 5416 matches the NAICS code of an IDV in the Protect Oceans domain. But you notice this one ends in 20, Environmental Consulting Services. So both of these are identified as leakage against Protect Oceans, even though they have different NAICS codes. Because NOAA has made the determination that, hey, anything that starts with 5416, we're going to widen the scope, widen the net, and check that to make sure whether it could have gone through our category management domain or not. So they want to make sure that these COs and Mona email them, maybe pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, we noticed you did one here to Stillwater Oceans category. Was there a reason why? Was there not a vehicle that met the program office's requirements? Did you find a good price? You know, get that conversation going. Because it was in the general area based on the NAICS code, although the NAICS code didn't match precisely. I wonder if it would be useful to look at, if I can just make a copy of this. I can go here and I could come down to just to show you that chain of 5416 NAICS codes and show you the hierarchy there. This is our FedDataCheck Excel analysis tool. Let's filter this by fiscal year. This tool is available to any agency that subscribes to FedDataCheck, which I think virtually everyone is on here. So now I'm filtering the data for FY20. This is all civilian data for FY20. Let's go ahead and filter this for NOAA, since that's who I'm using as the example. $1,300, I'll come down to $1,330. So now I'm looking at NOAA spend for FY20, $1,330, and we were looking at 5416. So I'm going to double click on 54. Now I'm at, I believe this is the business sector, professional and scientific. I drill down again. Now these are all of the industry groups. And we were interested in this one, 5416 technology. These are the industries, and you can hit the plus sign. So this is a pretty wide net. So you would think that if you're looking at Protect Oceans, maybe human resources consulting services, you wouldn't pay much attention to that because, well, you know, it doesn't look like spend that could use one of the Protect Oceans vehicles. We have that someone on here, the Protect Oceans acting ACO. Feel free to correct me. But you know, this one, spend here, even though it might not precisely match the NAICS code in one of the vehicles, one of the contracts in indefinite delivery contracts and Protect Oceans, but it matches, you know, the more general NAICS category of code. Maybe that one could have leakage in it, could have used oceans but didn't. That one could have, you know. Okay, so we run that once a week. We matched on the 4-digit NAICS Industry Group. An email alert is triggered to the category management manager as well as others. The email alert has a PDF that details the presumed leakage. I'm going back here again. So the officials in charge of Protect Oceans can look through this and go, all right, here's the description. Fisheries, okay. Maybe I need to talk to Amy and make sure she's aware of our new initiative regarding Protect Oceans. Just looking through this here. Financial management, I'm not going to bother with that one. I don't think that's related to our technical effort on Protect Oceans. I'm talking about, okay, good. Erica pointed out the NAICS code on Protect Oceans is 54160. 54160. So this one we're catching as a possible leakage. And this one, even though it doesn't match exactly as this one does, the NAICS codes and the associated IDVs. Well, that's a mouthful. Let me stop here. Any questions, comments so far? Erica, I'd love to have you raise your hand and clear up something that I may have misspoke on. Oh, okay, I got one. Warren, you got something you want to add?
Matching PCS product, service product.
Okay, let's keep moving on. So what's the idea there is that, you know, you could go into FPDS&G, GSA Acquisition Gateway, others, and manually run reports and say, I want all of the NAICS codes. You wouldn't be able to get, I don't think you'd be able to get industry groups. I don't think FPDS&G gives you that option, but you could run all the NAICS codes for a given time period, sort it, look for the ones that have 5416 that start with, look at the contract description, determine whether that's someone you need to talk to the CO and ask why they didn't use your domain, or you can have a database do it. Obviously, we think it's much better, easier, more efficient to program the rules into the database. You tell us what you want to look for. Do you want to match on the four-digit industry group? Do you want to match on the 5-digit industry? You want to match on the full-digit NAICS? And you know, if it matches on one of those conditions, say that the 5-digit NAICS industry lines up with your domain, it didn't use your domain, here's the information on the award and the COs who made it. So why do it manually when you can program a database to do it automatically, easily, deliver it right to your email box? Everything's hyperlinked. Okay, I'm not seeing your question though. Okay, leakage is after the fact, correct? So we only know about it upon award. That would be correct. I don't know how you would be able to. In FedDataCheck, we only see things post-award. We don't see anything pre-award. So, now I guess you could determine by a solicitation. I guess you could. There are APIs out there now, so you could base on the solicitation and the NAICS code and the solicitation, maybe grab it off that. So that would be an interesting challenge. Currently, though, FedDataCheck only does a post-award. We hear that a lot, you know. So would it be ideal to catch leakage when a solicitation gets put out on FedBizOps? Yes. But catching it post-award by having an education process with the COs and CS, getting that conversation going, hopefully would also reduce unnecessary leakage. You know, I do have, just to show you a dashboard we have up. So here we're looking at a dashboard in FedDataCheck. I got there by logging into FedDataCheck. Anyone who subscribes, any agency, anybody who's a federal contracting official with one of the agencies who subscribe to FedDataCheck can get a login. So I did that, logged in as commerce user, clicked on commerce, and I ran our dashboard. So what this is showing is, here's the number of transactions. Looks like we're just looking at the IDVs so far on ProTech Weather. And we give you a breakout of the products versus services. So in this case, they're all services. Transactions and dollars, broken out by OTSB and SB. And the other thing we do with FedDataCheck is we give you bar charts. This is an agency level, but for department level, we show you the spend across eight. This is NOAA spend. It's an agency level program. And the trend lines, leakage, and utilization over time. Important to break out spending by SB and OTSB with category management. That is one of the issues that does come up, whether it disadvantages small business or not. Whether it's true or not, it's a perception out there. Utilization rate, that would be the numerator is what we saw. That would be utilization, obligated amount spent via the IDVs in a category management domain. The denominator is the amount of spend associated, all spend. So that the utilization and leakage is the denominator. Obligated amount spent on the associated 5-digit NAICS. To look at it another way, utilization rate is what was spent through category management domain. That's the numerator. The bottom is what theoretically could have been spent through that domain. Bar charts, bar charts enable you to compare organizations, how well they're doing compared to each other in terms of using category management. Trend lines, you get to see track your success, whether you're going up or down in your utilization rate over time. There is drill to detail capability in there as well. If you leave these up too long, oh, there you go. You saw what I did there. Back in anytime you see one of these graphics here in FedDataCheck, they're hot, so you can see, okay, I've got 41 transactions that we think could have gone through this ProTech weather program. I'd show me them, prove to me that that's a good number. You click on that, and you're going to see the details, so you can verify the overview graphic for yourself. You don't have to take our word for it that what we're telling you is accurate. So someone who's in the ACO, I'm not sure what ACO means, but we at FedDataCheck have identified this as leakage against ProTech weather, and the ACO can go through and verify that for themselves. Okay, I do want to get to acquisition gateway. Now, I'm going to have to watch my time, but how many of you have been on acquisition gateway? Okay, I'll close that and share that. About half. So a lot of you have been on that. Now, I'm not going to go through this, but these are the instructions for downloading how Acquisition Gateway is assessing how much of your obligated amount, how much of your spend is going through category management domains. So when you go through this, and let's say you did it for the Department of State, what you would end up with is a spreadsheet that looks like this. There's the State Department. It gives you the tier, best in class. Tier 2 is department-wide category management domain that meets other criteria for being highly rated. Erica, jump in if we define those tiers in the PowerPoint, but the higher you go up from tier 0 is unaligned non-category spend. You'll notice that if I just select definitive contracts and purchase orders, it's always going to be tier 0. Tier 0, you didn't use category management. I go across here, it gives me the PID. So I know that PID referencing this probably FSS or referencing this indefinite delivery vehicle was classified as use CDW government, and it was classified as a BIC spend. So anyway, that's what the raw data looks like. Okay, one of the goals of GSA Acquisition Gateway is to group spend into tiers. Tier 0 is unaligned, not category management spend. Tier 1, spending managed at the agency-wide level, supporting mandatory use policies. Higher you go up, the better. The category management world. Tier 2, spending managed at the government-wide level through multi-agency or government-wide solutions. BIC, best in class. That's the primo. By grouping spending into tiers, a contract management organization can gauge where they are on the category management maturity model. And here's the maturity model here. It tells you if you're doing tier 1, you're exercising these policies. Tier 2, you do all of tier 1 and more. You know, one of the beneficial things I saw in tier 2 was analyzing vendor performance. So when people do use your domain, you can keep a track on which vendors are performing and which ones maybe not so much. Tier 3 is a synonym for BIC. The other thing GSA Acquisition Gateway does is group it into levels. And what levels are groups of PSC codes. For level 1, there are 10. So they take the 2,000 plus PSC codes and they put it in groups. The highest level group is level 1, and there are 10 of those, such as IT, which is comprised of, I don't know how many PSC codes. We could look. And 9 additional defense-centric ones, such as weapons and ammunition. So when you think levels, all you're talking about there is a collection of PSC codes. Okay, level 2 is a further breakdown of level 1. So whereas, let's just say IT might have a collection of 50 PSC codes, level 2 will further break down those 50 into subcategories. So for IT, it has software, hardware, consulting. So if we go to the data there, let's just scroll down to IT. So here's 2 with IT, hardware, and software. Now, a PSC code can be in one and only one level 2 category. So for this award here, it was determined to be a level 1 IT spend. The further subdivision is IT software. It was against the BIC, so that's your peer, your tier group. And let's see what the PSC code was. I passed the PSC code. And there's the PSC right there, 7030. Now for 7035, that's IT spend as well. That's level 1, but that's in the subdivision IT hardware. All right, I got a question here. Laura, you got a question?
Yeah, we're still seeing the poll.
Oh, gosh. I nab it. All right, thank you. I was going on and on. Thought I was doing good. Thanks, Laura. Hopefully that's everyone else. Okay. Anyway, what I was going on and on about was tiers, the tier spend. So if you look at the data, here's the tier here. So for this, every one of these is a transaction in FPDS&G. So if I'm looking across, that's best in class. And there is the PID. There's the mod, the PID, the ref PID. That's the tier. You can see I got BICS, tier 0, online, tier 2. Okay, and then the level, groups of PSC codes, that's in the mega group IT. Let's say that has 50 PSC codes associated with it. A PSC code can only be in one level, can't be in 2. It's assigned to 1. And this PSC code is also assigned to the subdivision IT software. This one's same level 1 group, but it's IT hardware. And they give you the PSC code and the GSA acquisition date as well, 703, 7035. So that's one of the things that the GSA gives you that's important. It's, hey, here's your spend. Are you using category management or not? And we're going to group it in the maturity model. Tier 1, category management, but it's the lowest level capability, the lowest level of category management expertise. Tier 2 is the next. Tier 3, aka BIC, the highest. And we're going to group those PSC codes you can't analyze spend by 2,000 PSC codes at once. The human brain can't do it. So we're going to group them into more manageable chunks. 19 level 1 groups further divided into subdivisions. You know the PSC code, you know the level 2, and then you would know the level 1. In other words, one PSC code can't be in IT software and human resources. It's one. Categorizing by level gives you maybe visualize at a glance. And let's see if we can take a look. Okay, so what I have here is the department. I have actually, in this example here, I'm looking at Department of State. They've recently given us their GSA acquisition gateway data. So by doing that, for FY20, for new awards, I could see the buckets. This means that spend hasn't been categorized yet, hasn't made its way to GSA acquisition gateway. But I could see relative here, I could see there's a lot of tier 0 spend in this category. Tier 0. Instead of breaking that up, let me just get I didn't get into the subdivision of tiers. Let me just do it this way. I can see that tier 1, not so much. Then it goes up tier 2, tier BIC, but they still have a lot of unmanaged spend here as the most. Another advantage of using the Excel tool is, and by linking this to FPDS and G, you'll notice that there is no set-aside information in the GSA acquisition gateway, but I can look at tier spend for small business set-asides. Tier 1 completely went away there. So by linking FPDS and G and GSA acquisition gateway, you have more ability to slice the data how you want to. So I can look at small business and I can look at commercial acquisitions in small business and see what the spend looks like for that. And, you can drill down to the, if you wanted to, you could also pull in the PID and look at the detailed specifics. But by doing the set-aside commercial acquisition, you'll notice when you download your acquisition gateway data, you're not going to have that to analyze by. There is no set-aside column here or commercial item acquisition column here. You only get that by merging your PID, RevPID, and MOD information, by using that to link to your FPDS and G transactions and pulling in those other attributes from the transaction. So that was tier. The tier is the maturity model. How effectively are you using category management? BIC is classified the best. Again, tier 0, you're not using category management. Now here what they're doing is they're just looking at, okay, what are you spending it on? So I could go here and we could pull over, let's pull over BIC. Say, hey, okay, so for my BIC spend, what am I spending it on? Okay, well, my BIC spend is really being driven by IT spend. Not so much in these other levels. What's a level? A collection of PSC codes. Okay, so that's what my BIC spend, that's kind of interesting, really weighted towards IT. Let me look at my tier 1. Tier 1 is that lowest level capability, and on the category management maturity model, agency-wide, I believe it was, and the other factors, you can read that on the link I gave you. Okay, well now I know in tier 1, I'm doing some spend in transportation and logistics services as well as facilities. How about on my set-asides? How am I doing on that? Am I getting there through, all of them are, not seeing any set-asides used on the tier 1 spend. Okay. So we saw that through Excel, and we also have, what time is it? Oh, I'm running out of time, but I can pull this over to you. We're wrapping up now. So here you can see the acquisition gateway data that we've integrated for state. You can look at it in Excel, or you can look at it through a dashboard. More graphical. You can see your trend over time. You have drill to detail capability. And the other thing I wanted to point out was, when you click on this breakout, you can then see your breakout. Okay, this is how much was spent using a small business set aside. Let's go to BIC. 28 million through small business set asides, and they were classified as BIC spend. 254 million was spent not using a small business set aside. This could have gone to a small business, but it didn't use a small business set aside to generate that spend. This is something you would not be able to do using acquisition gateway data alone. I also understand it. I don't have a government login, so it's hard for me to get on acquisition gateway. Last time I was there was in December. You always have that drill to detail capability, so you can see what's behind our graphical numbers. Something I understand is more difficult to do with the acquisition gateway data and their dashboards. People can correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone on that? Okay. We already went through our Excel interface. Okay, in review. If you cannot easily provide spend numbers broken out by tiers or levels, are you using category management or not? What is your agency spending their money on? And if you cannot provide category management utilization rate and leakage rate, how much could have gone through ProTech Oceans but didn't, based on the NAICS Code or the NAICS Industry Group? How about this? I've seen this. You see people issuing purchase orders for standard laptops through Best Buy. How many vehicles out there were presumably, I know with Best Buy in particular, they are on BIC category management domains. So theoretically, it'd be easier, more cost-effective, get a better price if you buy your laptops through NITAC or one of those programs. Well, if these are questions or capability you'd like to have, you can do what NOAA did and work with us and enter your category management programs into FedDataCheck. You can supply your acquisition gateway data to us like State Department has done. And remember those leakage alerts. Every Monday you can see, if you're the ACO, you can say, okay, wait a minute, they use NAICS Code 3128. We got all kinds of vehicles that should cover spend under 3128 Industry Group. I better talk to these people, make sure they're aware of us. And we may have some additional expense involved in our activity here. This is such a big category with so much data. Honestly, we could use some additional help on our end to satisfy the demand. I ran a little over. That's it, everybody. Any questions? Other than when I was on there for not showing my screen. Any final comments? No one from ProTech wants to make any comments? Okay. All right, I'm going to go through who I am. A lot of you have already seen this, but that's it for the end of the webinar. I'm going to send you the PowerPoint. You can stay on here if you so choose. This is what I do at the end of every webinar. There's our contact information. I'm Bob Hartford again. Something about FedDataCheck. We'll send out a certificate for a COP point, recommended COP point. Some agencies automatically award that. And you're always free to submit that to FATAS, right? And you can let your FATAS administrator judge whether it's worth the COP point or not. I've never had anyone say, hey, I submitted it and I didn't get credit for it. We're no longer a small business, all right? It's not, boy, we're on the dying edge of it. So we've grown out of all those small business designations. If we haven't, we'll go out next week or soon. As you saw today, we did category management. We do a lot of data quality, which a lot of you are familiar with. But here's one that we do. We automate the annual FPDS&G verification validation review. So we do a lot of stuff related to procurement metrics and acquisition management. That's it, everybody. I did go over. Thank you for staying with me. Look forward to talking to you more if you want to investigate our category management capability more. I'll hang on if anybody has any questions, but that's it. All right, everybody. See ya.